The NBA is a league built on flash, entertainment, and larger-than-life personalities. Players are adored as icons, praised for their athleticism, and marketed as role models. But every now and then, the image of the NBA as a polished, family-friendly product collides with the raw realities of where many players come from. Neighborhoods where gang culture, street codes, and unspoken rules shape their early lives. And sometimes, those realities surface on the court in the form of something as simple but powerful as a hand gesture. To the average fan, a finger sign might look like nothing more than a celebration. But to those who understand the streets, those hand gestures can signal much more: loyalty, defiance, or even threats. Over the years, several NBA stars have been accused of throwing up gang signs. Some deny it, some lean into it, and others find their careers forever altered by the fallout. This isn't just about basketball. It's about perception, culture, and the fine line between image and reality in a league where everything is under a microscope. Let's break down the most infamous cases, what they meant, and why the consequences were so different depending on the player. April 26, 2008. Game 3 of the first-round playoff series between the Boston Celtics and Atlanta Hawks. The Celtics, led by Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, were expected to cruise. But with just over 20 seconds left, Boston trailed 102-93. The loss was already sealed. Frustrated, angry, and fueled by the intensity of playoff basketball, Paul Pierce walked toward the Hawks bench and flashed a hand gesture. At first, it seemed like nothing. The average fan saw Pierce raising his right hand, forming a circle with his thumb and index finger, while extending the other 3 fingers. Maybe it looked like a taunt, maybe just some random sign in the heat of the moment. But gang experts instantly recognized it. A classic Piru Bloods hand sign. The Piru Bloods are no small group. They trace their roots to Piru Street in Compton, California, and have a reputation that carries weight in both Los Angeles and beyond. Pierce grew up in Inglewood, a neighborhood deeply affected by gang culture. Whether he was affiliated or not, it was impossible for someone growing up there not to understand what those signs meant. The gesture wasn't random. It carried history and context. Here's what's fascinating. Referees didn't call a technical. Reporters from major outlets like the Boston Globe and Atlanta Journal-Constitution didn't even mention it the next day. It was as if everyone wanted to look the other way. But the internet didn't. A video of the moment blew up on YouTube, gaining over 200,000 views, and suddenly the NBA couldn't ignore it. Pierce was fined $25,000 for making a menacing gesture. Pierce scrambled into damage control mode. He released a statement insisting he had no gang affiliations, emphasizing his foundation's work to create safe havens for inner-city kids. The Celtics doubled down, claiming it was part of a ritual symbolizing blood, sweat, and tears, or a B for Boston. Some fans even ran with that interpretation. But gang experts like Georgia Leap weren't buying it. She warned that even if Pierce didn't mean it as a threat, the symbol itself was recognized as gang-related, which meant it carried dangerous weight regardless of intent. The incident didn't derail Pierce's career. He went on to lead Boston to an NBA championship just weeks later, earning Finals MVP honors. But it planted a seed. The NBA couldn't always brush off these moments. Because while Pierce could deny and move on, the image of one of the league's stars throwing up a blood sign would never fully disappear from fans' memories. If Pierce's controversy was a flash in the pan, John Wall's saga was a slow burn that exploded years later. In 2015, during a playoff game against the Hawks, Walls celebrated an assist by shouting "Big B's" and making a gesture associated with the Bloods. People brushed it off as adrenaline, a moment of hype, nothing serious. But it wouldn't be the last time his name was linked to gang culture. The real storm hit in September 2020. A video surfaced of Wall at a Brooklyn party, shirtless, surrounded by friends, red bandana in hand, flashing gang signs, tossing money in the air. And all this during the height of the pandemic, when the world was locked down and fans were already restless. The clip spread like wildfire, trending on social media and drawing massive backlash. To many, it was reckless and tone-deaf. This wasn't just any player. This was a franchise star on a max contract, the supposed face of the Washington Wizards. Wall quickly apologized, admitting he made a mistake and vowing to be better. But the damage was done. Reports later surfaced that people inside the Wizards organization were furious, seeing the video as proof that Wall wasn't focused. By December, Wall was traded to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Russell Westbrook. Yes, his injuries and contract played a huge role, but insiders suggested the gang sign controversy was a tipping point in the team's willingness to move on. What makes Wall's case especially tragic is the timing. He was already battling personal challenges, recovering from a ruptured Achilles, mourning the death of his mother, and adjusting to life as a father. Instead of a comeback story, his image became tied to controversy. Even as he donated to charities, raised money for rent relief, and marched for social justice, the viral video overshadowed his good deeds. It's a reminder that in the NBA, image is everything, and sometimes one clip can outweigh years of positive contributions. Then there's Ja Morant, the ultimate example of how social media magnifies everything. Unlike Pierce or Wall, Ja came up in a digital era where every move is captured, clipped, and shared instantly. His athleticism made him a superstar, but his off-court behavior made him a cautionary tale. Fans began noticing Morant flashing hand signs during games, gestures some interpreted as Crips signals. At first, it seemed like typical trash talk, nothing more. But then came the gun flashing incidents on Instagram Live. Suddenly, people weren't just speculating about hand gestures, they were questioning his entire lifestyle. Things got even more real when actual gang members stepped in. Brick Baby, a rapper and known Crips affiliate, publicly called out Morant, warning that pretending to claim gang life without truly being part of it could carry lifelong consequences. "You're not from this," he said, challenging Ja to stop before it was too late. The warning wasn't internet chatter. It was a message from someone who knew the stakes. For the NBA, Morant became a nightmare. Each incident led to suspensions, fines, and headlines that painted him as reckless. Endorsement deals hung in the balance, including a potential $200 million sneaker deal. Even when Ja might have been flashing signs for Memphis or local pride, the interpretation leaned toward gang affiliation, fueling speculation and criticism. The story of Ja Morant isn't just about hand signs. It's about how a young star with the world at his feet risked everything for the image of toughness, only to realize that the streets he was trying to emulate weren't playing games.
James Harden's connection to gang signs has always been murky, sitting somewhere between hip-hop culture and street signaling. Back in 2012, during the Western Conference Finals, Harden was spotted making gestures that looked like blood signs. Then came a tweet to rapper Lil Wayne, inviting him to a game with the message U5, a number linked to blood symbolism.
The hip-hop community noticed, and they didn't let him off the hook. Rappers Slim Thug and Lil Duval mocked Harden, accusing him of false claiming. They pointed to his reputation as soft, recalling how he didn't retaliate after Ron Artest elbowed him. For them, Harden's gestures weren't tough, they were embarrassing. Over the years, Harden continued to toe the line between basketball and hip-hop culture. He built friendships with rappers, partied with celebrities, and posted photos that sometimes carried gang-related symbols. The most recent flare-up came in 2024 when he shared a birthday post featuring a YSL logo tied to rapper Young Thug's RICO trial. Was Harden endorsing gang culture or just showing love to an artist friend? Fans debated, and the NBA stayed silent. Harden's case highlights how blurred the lines can be between basketball and music culture. Players live in a world where hip-hop influences everything: fashion, slang, celebrations. But when those signals overlap with gang imagery, the consequences can be unpredictable. Unlike Wall or Morant, Harden never faced fines or suspensions, but the criticism from the rap community stuck. In their eyes, he was playing with something he didn't truly understand. Not every hand gesture tells the same story. For DeMar DeRozan, one simple sign sparked debate because of where he came from. Born and raised in Compton, DeRozan knew gang life intimately. He lost friends and family members to violence, and his childhood was shaped by the constant presence of Bloods and Crips. But thanks to his parents' discipline and his dedication to basketball, DeRozan avoided falling into that life. In 2018, after hitting a corner three, a photo showed him making a C-shaped gesture. Raptors fans saw it as a celebration. Others saw a Crip symbol. The internet debated, was DeRozan repping his neighborhood or just celebrating his shot? The NBA never investigated, and the moment didn't blow up into a major scandal. But it reflected a larger truth. When a player comes from a place like Compton, every move is scrutinized differently. For DeRozan, it became one more reminder of the world he left behind, but could never fully escape. Today, DeRozan is celebrated for his resilience, his mental health advocacy, and his longevity as a six-time All-Star. His memoir, Above the Noise, recounts his struggles growing up surrounded by gang life and how basketball became his escape. To him, the hand gesture was never about claiming a gang, it was about celebrating success in a game that saved his life. No discussion of NBA and gang culture is complete without Gilbert Arenas. But his story isn't about hand signs. It's about something much more dangerous. In December 2009, Arenas and teammate Javaris Crittenton got into a heated argument over a gambling debt during a team flight. Things escalated to the point where Arenas brought multiple guns into the Wizards' locker room, daring Crittenton to use his own. What started as trash talk became one of the darkest scandals in NBA history. Crittenton had known gang ties, affiliating with the Mansfield gangster Crips. His life spiraled out of basketball and into tragedy. In 2015, he was sentenced to 23 years in prison for a gang-related murder. Arenas, meanwhile, became a cautionary tale. Though he wasn't tied to gangs himself, his decision to mock the incident by pointing finger guns during a game sealed his downfall. He was suspended, his reputation destroyed, and his once bright career collapsed. Arenas' case shows how quickly image can kill a career. Even without direct gang affiliations, his reckless choices tied him to that world in the eyes of fans and media, leaving him as one of the NBA's most infamous what-could-have-been stories. From Pierce's playoff moment to Ja Morant's Instagram disasters, these stories reveal a consistent truth. In the NBA, image is everything. A hand gesture might last only a second, but its meaning can linger for years. For some, like DeRozan, it's a misunderstanding. For others, like Wall and Morant, it becomes a turning point in their careers. And for Harden, it's a reminder of how closely basketball and hip-hop culture intertwine.
The lesson is simple but brutal. In the streets, throwing up a sign can show loyalty, defiance, or identity. In the NBA, it can cost you millions, damage your reputation, and even end your career.
Because in this league, every gesture is more than just a movement. It's a message, and the world is always watching.